At the beginning of the age of large industrial developments, mankind collided with the problem of principally new approach to arrangement of foundations. It is the foundation that has to bear all static and dynamic loads caused by the weight of a structure, as well as caused by seismic processes that take place in the earth crust. It occurred to someone that in such cases the best solution would be pile foundations. They indeed have ability to be supported by original soil found under deposition of cultivated layer. And only in this case stability of the foundation and, as the result of the structure itself, is guaranteed. The first who proposed to use piles for foundations instead of their construction and excavations was an engineer Strauss from Kiev. It was at the end of the 19th century when he had elaborated a new technology of foundations that was much ahead of his time. And it is symbolic that this technology enabled later for his countrymen to use the whole potential of technologies in constructing pile foundations. Kiev Engineering Department of Ukrhydro Project Company was established in 1963 according to the initiative of Ministry of Power of former USSR. At that time, the scope of the company's duties was enlarged with designing of pile equipment that needed modernization. At construction work, it was necessary to solve the problem of taking up static and dynamic loads imposed on foundations with the use of piles by calculating their diameter and depth of driving at the given geological conditions. Many industrial structures and residential buildings, particularly multi-storied ones, located in different hydrogeological conditions and on different soils, first of all need secure foundations. Formerly, foundations were made with the use of ordinary piles. Now, board piles have been introduced. Development of the equipment and technology for such piles is the task that our Kiev Engineering Department is engaged in. At present, this development concerns mainly equipment for implementation of pile foundations for residential buildings and industrial structures. In terms of piling machines, recently they are widely used for implementation pile foundations for residential buildings. Our machines are widely used, particularly in Kiev, for construction of buildings that cause high pressure on their foundations. This activity began in the distant 60s. It was just then when Kiev designers developed first samples of the equipment for driving piles dynamically using diesel hammer. Distinct feature of this equipment was use of leading well boring. This method was driving piles much easier and also enabled one to increase length and bearing capacity of piles. The method made the process of piling more reliable and safe for the surrounding structures. But the machines based on this method had also demerits. And the main one was noise and dynamic effects that affected the environment. Then, Kiev specialists managed to overcome this by elaboration of devices based on the method of indentation. Here, the indenting force depends on the static moment. A set of counterweights is mounted on a platform and the piles are embedded statically. By the use of this method, ecological issues are resolved. In the conditions of compact planning, silence in operation is ensured. This technology becomes indispensable at construction in residential areas of towns. Today, the equipment of this type successfully operates in Odessa, where geological conditions are very strict due to closeness of the sea. During the period of our activity, we have elaborated a good number of different piling machines that have been used at construction of foundations in almost all CIS countries, mainly in the Ukraine and particularly in Kiev. This process goes on at present. Scientific ideas can never be stopped. Permanent need in more deep excavations led to necessity of inventing new designs of machines for filling piles. Thus, a YNO2 model has radically changed the problem of piles' length. The solution was simple. A drill mounting is telescopic, that is, there are several pipes connected in series, and this enables to significantly increase the depth of the borehole. Previously, this length was defined only by the length of the main column. Also, the new boreholes can be of a much bigger diameter, up to 800 millimeters. Notably, in such machines, electric drive is used mounted on the crane's mouth. The machine itself is mounted on a homemade crawler crane. It was these machines that in due time were very useful at construction of Kama automobile plant. As specialists reported, these machines have saved the situation indeed. Up to that time, mainly bearing posts and stepped foundations were used on sites with open excavations. But technologically it was very difficult, and in addition the excavation was constantly flooded. The use of Kiev's piling machines made it possible to think about revolution in foundation construction.
Уже на тот период, тогда была система соцтранжа.
At that time, we received requests from Bulgaria, Romania, Czechoslovakia and other countries. Experts from these countries, after having visited Kama plant, realized the effectiveness of the use of our machines in the conditions of their sites. We were pleased with this fact because those experts had contacts with foreign companies, but, for some reason, they didn't appeal to those companies and preferred to get in touch with us. That meant it was obvious for many experts that our machines had certain advantages, and these advantages are relevant up to this time. Later, quite a new approach was elaborated, so-called injection drilling method, based on YNO2. A special machine drills a hole of a designed diameter. Under pressure, with the use of pumps, concrete mix is delivered into this hole. Then, the mix hardens and turns into concrete pile. Due to the pumping pressure of 50-70 atmospheres, the concrete mix causes pressure on the inner surface of the hole. The soil becomes compacted, and after hardening of the mix, the concrete pile reshapes into the form of a fir tree. Because of such form, bearing capacity of piles rises by 15–20%. The method is quick and reliable in cases when it is necessary to have a deep foundation based on piles of small or medium diameter for construction of high structures.
Мы непосредственно приняли участие.
We participated directly in developing this machine and designed a number of variants of the machine's parts. The machines were manufactured by Kiev Mechanic and Repair Works and were introduced in foundation practice with success. There will be demand for this equipment because it turns to be of high productivity. This method of piles implementation is the most reasonable one. We use developments of Ukrhydro project. We manufacture all machines they develop. They're aware of our capacity and our possibilities, so they develop machines that match us. Henceforth, specialists of Kiev engineering department came to an idea to house electric drive directly into a drill hole. Thus, a self-dependent type of pile drilling machines has appeared that enable constructors to work at depths up to 50 meters. The diameter of piles could reach up to 1.5 meters. At the change of the electric drive's location, it became possible to automatically lengthen telescopic drill column. Thus, there have been significant savings of time at drilling. The change of the electric drive location also made it possible to use the concept of plumb line for automatic drill holes axis adjustment. On realization of these advantages, researchers began to experiment with electric drives with more confidence. The drive was strung on a boom's hook. One could already drill a hole and place concrete in it while working with a single crane. At this method, the electric drive was located on the ground. To put it more precisely, special bushings were welded to the drive, and these bushings interacted with the ground. The absence of the drill column saved the problem of the hole's depth. The machine turned to be a so-called mechanical mow that continuously sinks into soil. Unloading is carried out cycle by cycle, along with sinking. Alas, this machine can be used only for firm soils. When a problem of drill-filled piles of large diameter in unstable soils arose, the department elaborated the machine that used casing pipe of several sections connected with each other. The machine differed from its predecessors by its being a pure hydraulic one. The drive was fixed inside the casing pipe by means of special bushings. This enabled a quicker cycle soil unloading. Distinct feature of this equipment was absence of telescopic drill column. There was no need in it. Thus, Kiev Engineering Department of Ukrhydro project developed a new class of driving machines. If the system of international patenting in the former Soviet Union was more developed, it would have been possible to assert that such type of machines was created in Kiev for the first time in the world. Now, it can only be stated that technically Ukrainian drill pipe machines with sinking electric drives are more acceptable for domestic constructors than their foreign analogues due to a number of their features.
технически импортное оборудование.
Technically, imported machines are very complex. They are equipped with hydraulic drives and their design has many complex parts, whereas our machines are a lot more simplified. Thus, expenses for their manufacture are significantly lower, and it is a big advantage because during construction, all kinds of technical complications usually lead to induced delays and other hardships. It was a search for design simplification that urged Kiev engineers to elaboration of qualitatively new machine. Here, electric drive was placed on the top of a boring non-spinning column in contrast to the preceding samples. Now, it didn't sink into the drill hole and naturally was not flooded by the liquid. The use of telescopic shaft made it possible to increase drill hole depth.
Есть целый ряд модификаций.
There's a number of strict designs of the machine that enable to execute foundations in any geological conditions. That is why some piling equipment uses casing pipes and some other types are designed to be used in stable soils, and other types meant to save costs during construction of foundations. Kiev designers have this objective in view. For example, one of the latest developments was elaborated by request of power specialists. At construction of transmission lines of high voltage, it is necessary to make excavations for towers and then to backfill these excavations. This process is much dependent on geological conditions and weather. There are hard soils in Donbass, Crimean Peninsula and Carpathian region. It is necessary to have a machine that would be universal and could make quality drill holes in different soils and have the price that would be comparable with that of Western machines.
Она как машина.
This machine that can make drill holes for towers' foundations of transmission lines doesn't seem to be super new. These men just collected appropriate information, thought it over, selected the best existing machines and elaborated the one that was needed. Why this machine is good? Because all parts of it, from screw bolts to cylinders, are made in the Ukraine. It means that for Ukrainian companies engaged in construction of transmission lines, this machine is like the God's gift, because there was no such equipment up to this time. Construction of transmission lines in the Ukraine will go on. Old lines will be substituted by new ones with changed design solutions, but still it will require new foundations. So, this machine has been developed. It has been manufactured at Zmiev's plant. It has been tested and adopted by the ministry. Anyhow, using old pile hammering machines nowadays that make not only windows, but also transport vehicles, TV set shake, is absolutely inadmissible in big cities with high housing density. That is why the technology being introduced by us is undoubtedly promising. At present, Kiev Engineering Department of the Open-Type Stockholding Society Ukrhydro project possesses all necessary developments of piling machines for boring holes of necessary depth and diameter in various geologic conditions. Their using in the local construction has proven that the Kiev developments have the same quality as their foreign analogues, and sometimes they surpass them in it. However, there are some problems. Decrease in volume of the local construction and extremely low financial support have dealt a severe blow to the institute. Many projects have been stopped that led to considerably higher rate of redundancies. But in spite of all this, the Ukrhydro project specialists find ways to keep on the same level of volume and effectivity of developments and their high technical level. We only can hope that the growth of construction activities in Ukraine would increase the Kievites' demand for the scientific developments. There is a huge intellectual potential here. For instance, the cement and soil piles arrangement is one of the new issues to deal with. Today, this is the most modern method that determines the future of construction of foundations. But that is quite a different issue.